the Heart of Law podcast. My name is Mirena Umizaj, and I'm your host. Today, I have a very special guest on the podcast. His name is Andre Norman. Andre is not an actual attorney in the mass tort world or in the personal injury world, but he is a jailhouse attorney in
Just in prison. I'm a prison lawyer. Jailhouse lawyer, they call it.
Prison lawyer. That's right, which is fascinating. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. The reason why I had Andre join us for the podcast is because I have been working on a very important cause, I should say, prison reform with some firms around the country. And I heard Andre speak at a conference, and I just knew I had to talk to him. I knew we had a lot to discuss. I have a lot to learn from Andre, and I think the audience would benefit from hearing him speak. He has been on TED Talks. He's been around the world talking about prison reform and how to improve the correctional justice system. But a little bit about Andre. He's a globally renowned and transformational speaker, strategist, and consultant, revolutionizing the correctional system worldwide with an unwavering commitment to resilience and innovation. Andre has inspired individuals and organizations to embrace the challenges and to tap into their limitless potential, a lot like a personal development coach. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Andre brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to his engagements. Through his dynamic presentations, practical strategies, and personal journey from a 105-year prison sentence to becoming a Harvard Fellow, he empowers audiences to overcome obstacles and navigate change and unlock their true potential. This is just music to my ears. Andre, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me today. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. And you know, my rule is if you call me, I show up. You called me and I showed up.
You did. And I didn't know you showed up in person.
We're really here. Hold on. This is not what we call virtual. This is not a green screen. We're here.
Old school. He said, I'm going to do the podcast and I'm going to fly to Orlando and I am going to do this in person with you. And I thought, but you don't have to do that. And he said, no, in person is better. So I love that.
This is a real cause. And if you have a real cause that you believe in, you should show up for it. Not simulcast, or if it's really real, you show up in person.
Yeah. I love that about you. And when I do see you on stage, you embody your cause, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. When we started talking on prison reform about a year ago, you had just been on stage and talked about what you typically talk about, and I think we'll expand on that. And I just thought it would be important to bring more of this into the legal community because there is a movement and there is an effort to improve the justice system. We've got more and more attorneys and law firms around the country wanting to make a change, right? But I think it's important to know, what Andre knows and his exposure and sort of his perspective in order to benefit the overall effort, the legal efforts that a lot of firms are embarking on. So before we dive into your work, I would love for you to share a little bit about your story. The beginnings, the journey, the grace you found along the way, and how you turn it all around, and the mission that you have today, and how you use that to make the world a better place.
Well, born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. My mom married a high school sweetheart. She had 2 kids. Her husband robbed banks for a living, so he went to prison for robbing banks. And she meets my dad, local hustler. She has 4 more kids. So there's 6 kids, mom and dad, everything great, except for my dad had a habit of beating my mom. So we go through the domestic violence stuff for a while. I finally get old enough to go to school. So I can't wait. I shoot off to school. I'm in school, 1st grade. It's great. It's a building full of kids. And then one day riding home, kids started throwing rocks at our bus and calling us niggers. And it was like crazy to me. I'm in the 1st grade. I didn't know what was happening. I got home. I went to talk to my parents, and it was just the busing crisis of Boston in the 70s. I was one of those kids on the buses. A federal judge signed a law saying that Black kids and white kids would go to the same school. But when they made that law, nobody came to speak to me to say, Andre, To make the world a better place, you're gonna have to go through some things. You're gonna have to like, have rocks thrown at you, names thrown at you. I need you to be Jackie Robinson. I need you to make it better. And nobody talked to me. They just made an abstract law that's gonna impact the world, but they never talked to the people that it was impacting. And so we survived the busing crisis. My mom gets away from dad. We survived the domestic violence. Single mom, 6 kids living in the city. And you've seen that story. We struggle, we move around. I'm an illiterate kid because I just don't have the time and attention. And I just find my way to what they called the dummy class back in the day. The kids who couldn't read and write, they put us in a room and closed the door. Luckily, a teacher pulled me out of the dummy class. She said, "You're not a dummy, you just learn differently." And she took the time to teach me my learning style. Get to middle school, we find out we're poor. That's when my friends like, "Hey, we can go to the park and sell weed after school and make money." So we weren't really drug dealers. We were like the little sixth grade drug runners. The big kids would sit in the park and they were like, "Dre, go." And I'd run across the street to the stash house, get 20 bags of weed, come back and give it to them, sit on the rock. I made $30 a day. But $30 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you need socks, that's a lot of money. Lunch money, a lot of money. You got to feed your little brother, that's a lot of money. You got to buy clean pants, that's a lot of money. So $30 a day gave me the ability to be independent and take care of the responsibilities that 6th graders should not have. And I just fought my way through middle school. I get to high school. I'm a trumpet player. I played trumpet all through middle school. I get to high school. I'm in the band. I was in the band with a bunch of nerds. I was a nerdy kid, real talk. So I'm in the room with all the nerds. We're playing trumpet, band, everything else. Then my thug friends told me one day that trumpet wasn't cool. I needed to get rid of it. And it was like trumpet on my friends. You can't give up your friends, so I give up my trumpet. I gave up my trumpet, I give up my dream, free fall, to one day I'm sitting in Superior Court, 7 to 10, 9 to 10, 9 to 10, 2 10s, 2 15 to 20s, and a 5. Years. And they put me in a van, drove me to max security prison, they dropped me off. 18 at max, and I'm scared to death. And I went to caseworker's office, and the caseworker said, "Hey, Andre, so you got a lot of time, but you can get your GED, you can get your forklift certificate, you can go to college, you can do this, you can do that." I'm like, "Oh, prison's not that bad." So I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, I can get all this stuff." She was like, "Cool." And then my homies came around the corner and said, "Dre, we're going to the yard to work out." I said, "I'm going to school." About to go, nah, he got the caseworker speech. So what are you talking about? They said, "Dude, yeah, the caseworker said you can do all this stuff. But what she didn't tell you is that white gang over there, them white guys, they find out you're by yourself, they're going to beat you up and take all your stuff. Caseworker's not going to help you. Those guys over there, that's the Spanish gang. They're going to beat you up and take the rest of your stuff. Caseworker's not going to help you. And those black guys, they're from the other side of town. They're going to beat you up when the other 2 groups finish. Caseworker's not going to help you. So you can either roll with us or roll with her." Took the little notebook and my little dream of going to school, threw it in the trash. I joined the gang. My personal safety was more important than education. And for the next 6 years, I was involved in gang life. Every day, all day. Convicted twice of attempted murder, 2.5 years in solitary confinement. I was all in. And I woke up one day and I realized I was a king of nowhere. That I have achieved this status that means nothing to anybody. I came up with a goal. First, I said I want to be free. So I want to be free. And I realized free doesn't work for anybody. 70% recidivism is real. That means 70% of people who go home come back. So I'm like, I'm one of the worst of the worst. I'm definitely coming back. So I said, I don't want to be free because free is technically the parking lot. I don't want to get to the parking lot and be like, what am I going to do now? I don't know. You're in the parking lot. You're free. And they get to the parking lot and they go home and do the same stuff. I said, I want to be successful because successful people don't come here. So I go to college, I'll be successful. I picked a school called Harvard University. Everybody thought I was crazy. They said I couldn't do it. And they tried to talk me out of it. When they tried to talk me out of it, they sounded like my friends stealing my trumpet in the 9th grade. I said, not twice. So I went in my cell, I made a list of all the things that I needed to do to go to Harvard. And I looked in the mirror, I said, what's inside of me stopping this from happening? I started working on my list. People said I was crazy. People thought I lost my mind. They said I was stupid. I was wasting my life. I'm in prison doing damn near forever. But they're saying I'm wasting my life trying to go to school. Right. That was the craziest. You're wasting your life, Dre. You should have stayed here with us. Yeah. Like, how am I wasting my life trying to get out of here? That's a mindset. It's a whole other thing. Yeah. And check the box, got my GED. Check the box, anger management. Check the box, programming. Check the box, I'm in college. Check the box. Then I went to the law library.
Mhm.
And some older prisoners taught me how to shepherdize cases, research cases, read the law, understand the law, write motions, writs, everything. That's why I became a jailhouse lawyer. And I was able to secure a law firm to work with me. And between the three of us, we were able to overturn my case on appeal.
Wow.
We overturned my case on appeal. And the good news was my stuff is done. The bad news was the cases I picked up in jail I had to do. So gangsterism had its downfall. So I did another couple of years, finishing out the time, and I started programming. I'm doing program. I didn't do, when they said, Dre, you ain't gonna do programs no more. I said, yes, I do. They said, no, you don't have to do programs. I said, I'm doing these programs to stay out. I'm not doing these programs to get out.
Mhm.
And I doubled up everything. And then finally my day came, November 15th, 1999. I walked out of prison with a goal, to go to Harvard and be successful. Prison, parole office, youth center. I went to a juvenile center 90 minutes after I got out, and I started talking to little black boys and said, you're going to jail not because you're black, not because somebody gave you a gun. Somebody let you down, that hurts your feelings, you don't know how to act, so you self-medicate / get high, and you start acting out.
Mhm.
At 8 and 9 is cute, 14 and 15 is criminal. I started working with boys, black boys, because I was comfortable there. After like a month, they asked me to talk to the girls. So what do I know about being a girl? About girls. I go to the girls unit. Molestation, prostitution, domestic violence, drug abuse, you name it, it was there. That's how, and we tell little boys, oh, just put on a suit and tie and you'll be great. We tell little girls, oh, you had sex, you smoke meth, you're trash. It's like, nah, that's BS. If the boy can be better, why can't she be better? So I started telling little girls, you can be whole again too. And they were like, they told us we can't. Because we used to be prostitutes. They told us we can't because we've been molested. They told us we can't because we smoke crack. Well, they did the same stuff. But tell F them, you can be whole again. And I started going in and giving an empowerment message to the girls. Then they were like, hey, Dre, there's another group of kids. I'm like, I got the girls, got the boys. What are you talking about? They said white kids. Man, white kids ain't got no problems. So I go to all white school. They drink, they smoke, they have sex, they got bullies, they're cutting their arms. I'm like, what the hell is this? Y'all kids got everything. And how they doing all this stuff? 15 is 15.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you live and what you got or what your parents have. So I started working with white kids, and I just kept growing and growing and growing. And I started going back into the prisons. I'm in the juvenile centers, now I'm in the high schools, now I'm in the prep schools, now I'm teaching training, I'm training college students, training professors. Then they asked me to come back to the jail. So we started going back inside the jails. And because I used to be a gang leader, everybody knew and respected me. They're like, oh man, Dre's back. Well, this is what we're gonna do. Whatever Dre said we're gonna do. I became this like guy that could go in and the inmates would listen to me because I really came from it, came through it. And I lived it at what they consider a high level.
Mhm.
And I just been going back into prisons for 24 years now.
Wow.
In 2017, I got a fellowship to Harvard Law School.
Wow.
And Dr. Charles Ogletree, rest in peace, he reached out, he saw my gift, he saw my brilliance, and he brought me to the law school, got my email, anorman@harvard, hls.edu. And I cried when I got it
Mm.
because they said I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We can do whatever. We can do whatever anybody else can do.
Yeah.
If I can survive prison, if I can survive my mama's house, I can survive the hood, I can definitely survive it at Harvard.
Right.
And we learn to be fearless, go hard. We just have to point it in the right direction.
Yeah.
And like I was in prison yesterday. Listen, I came home 23 years ago, but I've been going back to prisons ever since. From 90 minutes after I got out until yesterday. There's no, well, he took 10 years off. And the thing is, I speak their language, men and women, white, black, Spanish. I live their pain. And when they see me, they say, we can be that.
Mhm.
Because when I was in prison, I didn't see success. I dreamed it.
Mhm.
So when I walk in, they don't have to dream it. They can actually see it.
Mhm.
I tell them, I come back so you can see what's possible.
Right.
And not just for the inmates. I've run programs around the country, around the world, Curacao, Bahamas, Honduras, Sweden, all throughout America. I've gone into prisons and
Yeah.
I've talked to them. And my number one thing when I go into a prison is not to talk to prisoners. I speak to them, but I'm really speaking to the guards. Because the same way we've never seen success in inmates, they've never seen success. So we believe we ain't nothing and we never make it. And that they believe the same thing because that's all they see. the 70% that we see to come back, they see it too.
Yeah.
And the worst that we choose to be, they see it too. So it's a matter of how do we change their mindsets? Because I've sat at the CLA conference, the ACA conferences, and all the rest of these wonderful conferences. I sat with governors, and they say, Dre, how do we make it better? If you want to make corrections better, you have to fully staff your place to make sure it operates, then train your staff to actually run and deliver what you want. When you're understaffed, it doesn't work. When they have the wrong training, it doesn't work. The system is broken. Full stop. There's no one person that says we've inherited a system that was built. Our school system is broken. We've inherited a school system from the 40s we've never adjusted. We've inherited a prison system from the 40s we've never adjusted. So what was good in 1940 is not good in 2024. Mm-hmm. So we have a broken school system. We have a broken prison system. And if you want to fix this, there's some prisoners from Connecticut I met. They said, don't talk about us without us. Yeah. I went to this multi-billion-dollar company after they heard me speak. They brought me in. We sat down as Dre. We want to do prison reform. I said, cool. I know a prison with all these gang members and murderers. Oh, no. We don't want to talk to prisoners. We want to have like an association of us having lunches and talking about them. I walked out. Right. I'm not even. I was like, yeah, I finished today and I left. Don't talk about us without us. Yeah. There's so many people who want to help prison reform. There's so many people who want to stop people from going to jail, leaving jail. When I walk into the room and I see 20 people at the table and nobody's been to jail. Yeah. I said, you can't fix this problem. Right. That's why when you call me, I think it's important that I show up because there's too many of us locked up that can't show up. Yeah. And if I don't sit here, then all you can have are the people who will show up. Right. But you invited. Now, if you invited me and I didn't show, then you did your part. Invite people to the table who have the experience, who have the intellect and the capacity to not just say, I've been to jail, but articulate solutions. Yeah. So, Andre, what I think I hear you saying is that it is this two-faceted approach that you have to motivate and give hope to the inmates themselves. They have to help themselves. Right. But you also need to fix a broken system. Correct. So you sort of try to do both because your role has been you're called by these prisons sometimes when there's riots and when there is chaos and they don't know how to get the prisoners to listen and to get them under control. And so you go in and you talk to them and you try to get them to a status quo, whatever that means. And then the cycle just continues to repeat itself. So when we talk about trying to reform the system, this word is like used so much, celebrities use it, the average Joe uses it, like you're talking about people that have never been there, that have never sat with inmates. So tell me, what do you think, in your opinion, needs to happen first? Where do we start the reform? Does it start with the system and resetting the table and then give them the resources to help themselves, or do we help themselves first and then try to attack the system? For me, it's two-part. And I have to say, this is not what you do, but if you want to fix prisons, go to kindergarten, save the babies. Because I can tell you the next gang member, drug lord, shooter, rapist is sitting in a kindergarten right now. We know exactly where they're coming from. Inner city kindergartens. And we're watching this little kid, 6 or 7 years old, sit on the floor with some blue juice and some crackers. He wants a hug. He wants a sandwich. He wants a mentor. We won't give it to him in kindergarten. We won't give it to him in first grade. We won't give it to him in third grade. We won't give it to him in fifth grade. But when he's 16, on his third juvenile probation violation, we want to rush in and offer him a basketball program or a coding program. When he was 7 years old, never committed a crime, he wanted a hug and a sandwich. So I know it's not where we are, but the truth is, if you want to fix prisons, it starts at K1. But coming forward to the system itself, if you want to fix that system, it starts with the operation. It has to work in the sense of not work to make people better. It has to function as it is. Right now, they are severely understaffed. You can't do anything. You can't have visits. You can't have programs. You can't have gym. You can't have classes. You can barely get to the child hall. You can't operate a prison effectively in being understaffed. And it makes it completely unsafe because the inmate population is not going down. The inmate population is going to be what it's going to be. It's going up.
Yeah.
So if you have a prison and it's supposed to be 200 staff there and there's only 80, it's unsafe for the prisoners and it's definitely unsafe for the staff, which means I look at that and say, okay, cool. We can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens on the back end? There's no school, there's no services, there's no church, there's no this, there's no that.
Right.
So what does that mean? The building's not falling. Well, the prisoner who's sitting in jail is not getting better. He's just maintaining or regressing. So it means when they come home, that 70% is going to now be 80%.
Yeah.
Because we're warehousing people. And warehousing doesn't work. So if I had to say one thing, we need fully staffed prisons and trained staff to actually make us better. Inmates, listen, I'm always going to be pro-inmate. But I'll say this 100 times out of 100. If you want us to be better, they got to be better. Because they control the keys. All you need is one guard to walk into my cell and rip my mother's pictures off the wall and step on it, and all the anger management went out the window.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was in jail, there was one guard named Robert Henderson who put me in the anger management program, even though I didn't belong in the block because I was a gang leader. He let me into the block. One CO said, hey, let him in. That same CO could have said, kick him out. So one guy doing his job, and this, no, so I know he doesn't fit. I think he needs it because he decided I needed it and he gave me a break that he did not have to give me. Had he not decided that one CO, this regular CO who ran this unit, let Andre in, changed my life. And I've impacted millions of people over the last 30 years. Right. Because this one CO said, give him a break. And whatever training he went to was like, yeah, I know he's a bad guy, but give him a break. I'm gonna let you in. He said, don't make me look bad. That's what he said. Don't make me look bad. Mm-hmm. I wasn't supposed to let you in here, but I think you need it. Don't make me look bad. Mm-hmm. We need more Rob Hendersons. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was just a CO just saying compassion. He didn't give me a cell phone. He didn't let me go home. He didn't bring me a sub. He let me go into a program that he thought would benefit my life. Right. And if there were more COs like him, and I can give you 20 of them. I went Captain Coleman at the county jail. I'm a fighter. I go to county jail, I'm fighting every day. They kicked me out of one county jail. They sent me to another county jail. When I get there, Captain Coleman gave me the best job in the jail. He made me a orderly, houseman, whatever they call it, honor dorm. And I used to have run of the jail. Mm-hmm. And I went to him one day, I said, dude, why did you give me the best job in the jail? Not throw me in a hole. He said, sometimes the worst can be the best if you just give them a chance. Mm-hmm. He could have said, guys coming from another jail, bad record, stick him in the hole, call it a day. Right. He called me down to the floor and he talked to me. He told me, go ahead. He just wanted to see me. Once he saw me, he said, it's not a bad guy. And he gave me the best job in the jail. It was a shower room job, but it was a long story short. And when everybody came, it was like intake, and I got the chance to run around. And the crazy part, because I was an honor working that job, I was out myself. I'm not supposed to, but I go up on the tiers and talk to the guys, to my friends. And I walked down a tier one day, and there was a guy, just stop. I stopped, went back and said, yo, what's up? He tried to hang himself. I talked to him, I got the chaplain, they fixed him. Week later, I'm walking the tier, going to see a homie. I just got the vibe. I go back to the cell, another guy tried to hang himself. Call the chaplain, got him, boom. Another day, I'm walking the tier. Lieutenant said, Andre, get off the tiers. You ain't supposed to be up there. I go to my cell, I lock in. The next morning, the whole jail's going crazy. The captain came to my door, bust my door. Where was you at? And he's cussing at me, yelling at me like I work for him. I was like, well, the lieutenant locked me in, told me to get off the tiers. He said, this door never locks again. For whatever reason, he can catch suicidal people before they commit themselves. Mm-hmm. Get him out, never lock his door. And literally for the next 5 months, I was at the county jail, my door never locked. Captain Coleman was like, he can save a life. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't policy, but it was within his discretion. Yeah. Robert Henderson wasn't against policy, but was within his discretion. How do we teach people to have that latitude and not be slammed because somebody runs behind him. Oh, he doesn't technically fit the quota or the whatever the thing is. People have to be people. We're turning COs, we're turning inmates into dots and robots.
Yeah.
We used to be just numbers. Now the COs are just numbers.
Yeah. So obviously the issues that you've seen are, you know, prominent in every jail, juvenile detention center. And you know, the point is well taken, which is start at the kindergarten.
I can't leave out the babies.
But
I know we're at prison level, but
let's, and if I may, I think that if we could go a step further, I think when you look, and this is just my experience that can't compare to yours, but when you look at the majority of the people that are locked up, the dysfunction started
at home. 100%.
Right. And so that the falling structure of the household leads to poor education leads to bad friends lead to, you know, prison sentences of hundreds of years, right? So where, you know, if we were to try to attempt to fix, and say you start at the prison itself, or the jail itself.
I love my neighborhood, and we have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Having grown up and become rich, if you want to call me that, my wife had PhD from MIT, master's from Harvard, speaks 5 languages. She's a world consultant, flies around the world. She's been all over the planet.
Yeah.
Our son he's been privileged from daycare. She told me all of my kids will go to Ivy League schools. You have a problem with that? So I said, no. She said, okay, I can't marry anybody who was not sending their kid to Ivy League school. And I paid $32,000 for kindergarten.
Okay.
Shout out to Shady Hill in Cambridge, $32,000 for kindergarten, and it was worth it. I love Shady Hill. My son has been privileged from day one, private schools, from private daycare to private elementary, middle school, high school. They vape at his high school. They drink at his high school. They get high at his high school. They have depression at the high school. They have kids commit suicide at the high school. It's not just a city problem. Now, the difference is my son has gone through his stuff. When he comes out the other end, he's going to have a degree from NYU. So he's going to vape, he's going to smoke, he's going to drink, he's going to be depressed. But when he shakes it all off, he's going to say, oh, he still has 2 parents who are wealthy and educated, and he's going to have a degree from a university that he can go apply. When I shook mine off, my dad was still illiterate, my mom was still overwhelmed, and I was a high school dropout.
Right.
So it's not that rich kids don't go through it.
Sure.
But when they shake it off, they have a system that they can, a degree and a platform they can walk off of. So and the thing is, I advocate not just for the poor kids who are struggling, but for the rich kids. If you're watching this, don't think that you're absolved from your kids being stressed out. I guarantee you, if 10,000 people watch this, they can all be making $1 million or better. 20% of them kids are struggling right now.
Right.
And I say to you, let me help your kid too. I'm great in Compton, I'm great in Chicago, I'm great in Detroit, and I'm same in Scottsdale, Beverly Hills, New Hampshire, you know what I'm saying? Wherever you are.
Yeah.
I believe, one time my mom said to me, I was at a conference, her daughter tried to commit suicide. I said, where's your daughter at? She said we're from Helena, Montana. So I got on a plane and I flew to Helena, Montana for one little white girl who deserves to live. The same way I get on a plane, I'll fly to Miami for one little Spanish kid. I'll fly to New York for one little, I don't care. It's not numbers.
Right.
My message is, don't believe your kid doesn't count. And I don't believe if we don't take care of our own, if you're not taking care of your kids, if you ain't been to a soccer game or a baseball game or a dance recital, you can't do prison reform.
Yeah.
And the problem is a lot of the people who are trying to do prison reform, their kids are messed up. They're not as messed up, but they're messed up.
What do you think? I mean, nobody, you know, has a book with instructions on how to raise kids.
I do. Oh, I'm just kidding.
But if anybody does, it's you.
I'm gonna write it. They've been begging me to write.
So what do you think it is? Do you think it is just giving the attention and the love and the compassion and the patience to, because it doesn't matter what age you are. I think we experience so much conflict and disconnect because we're not able to hear each other out. We're not able to communicate our feelings. like you said, you know, boys get hurt and they don't know how to express themselves, right? You suppress because you got to be tough. Girls, it's a whole nother kind of pressure of how to exist. And times are changing. The inmate population is not going down. Like, what is, you know, the message to the young people listening in to not be trapped by what we call this reality, which most of the time is an illusion?
My biggest turning point was when I gave up my trumpet. We were poor. Growing up in the hood is bad. Growing up without a dad sucked. Growing up poor, horrible. Growing up in a bad environment, not necessary. But growing up without a dream is impossible.
Yeah.
When I lost all the things combined were not enough to drown me, as long as I had a dream. When I lost my dream is when it won. It was always sitting there. The negativity, the gangs, the opportunity was always there, but I had my trumpet, which was my shield against it. When I laid down my trumpet, I became susceptible to the world. So getting kids a dream, whether they're in the hood or in suburbia or out on a farm, we have to give them a dream. Not just a test score, or have to give them a dream. And I want to give all the kids a dream. I really just left the conference and people there making billions of dollars. And the guy was like, hey, I'm like, no, we're going to go to your kid's school first. Before we go to my kid's school, on my side of town, let's go to your kid's school. Because if you're not willing to help your own, then you're not really trying to help mine. You're just checking the box. So for those who want to do prison reform, my first question is, how is your house? How is your wife and kids? How is your husband and kids? How is your community? If you're not volunteering here, then what makes me think that you're going to volunteer really with the earnest needs over there? I'm going to Angola in a couple of weeks. Angola, New York. I go to prisons around the country. Texas prison system is locked down right now. We have 100,000 people locked in their cells. They need help. They need help from people who are whole. Not just people who are trying to fill a hole.
What does that mean to be whole?
That right now we're at your house, you have your family, everything's together. Nothing perfect, but your kids are doing well. You're spending time with them. You and your husband are doing well. You're spending time with him. I don't want you to be beefing with your husband and this is your escape. Because you're bringing the energy of not being whole or being healthy to this problem. So me and my wife are beefing, so I'm going to go do this prison reform thing as a thing to do as an alternative to my wife. No, make up with your wife, then come with the love of your wife. Come with the backing of your family. Because so many people run to things. You know what a businessman does when he gets stressed out? Start another business. Instead of fix the stress, he starts another
or
business.
an affair.
Well, I ain't gonna put him on. Listen, that's a whole nother legal system, right?
Well, so like seriously, we talk about I know I'm joking around, but not really. It happens in the legal space. I mean, you've got some of the biggest overachievers, and these are people that really will do anything for a client, for a case, for their law firm, for their name, for their legacy, right? But a lot of them have a lot of issues to sustain that level of success because it's hard. It is, you're running a business, right? And so I know that attorneys themselves, you know, are struggling with addiction, with alcohol,
And
divorce.
Imagine if we help them. I spent 14 years in prison, 18 years in the hood, 24 years doing this work. I am a expert at alcoholism, addiction, depression, imposter syndrome. You know what I'm saying? All of the above. Kids out of control, communication expert. Imagine if I came and I helped you with your family and your life, then you're like, whoa, let us add value before you come save us. We're not just some like destitute group of people who are like, oh my God, let's go save the prisoners. Oh, I work for the UN. I work for the White House. I work for Harvard. I work for MIT, work for London Business School. I have skills. You know what I'm saying? I've saved over multitudes of people from suicide and addiction and problems. I help billion-dollar companies do and be better. I was with a $15 billion company yesterday. We have skills. And one of our skills is we can help you. Don't make us just like damsel in distress. We have to go save them. Let us add value.
So tell me more about that. So like, say you go to somebody that has been locked up for hurting somebody,
Right.
which, jury didn't have compassion for, the system didn't have compassion for. They're locked up in there. There is no medical care. There is no resources. How can that person living that life with truly deprived, how can that person be put in a position to add value to someone else and get them out of their own?
Well, I spent 2.5 years in
misery?
solitary confinement.
Yeah.
I've been convicted twice of attempted murder in prison. I've been kicked out of 9 different states for being violent and incorrigible. And you can go down a list of things. And I understand pain. I understand not feeling worthy. I understand disconnection. I understand trauma. So when I see your kid, I've been dealing with prisoners. I go to a prison. I was in Terre Haute in the 80s, gladiator school. I'm walking around 2,000 truly hurt people. Hurt people. And I got the worst of the worst sitting. I'm one of them. It's 2,000 of us sitting here traumatized. When I'm talking to these people every day, and I'm dealing with these people every day, I'm used to dealing with 2,000 psychopaths. You give me a 12-year-old girl from Winter Park? Come on, that's not even fair.
Yeah.
I'm convincing, I used to have people come to myself crying, boo-hooing, want to commit suicide, want to commit homicide because they're hurting.
Yeah.
And I became an expert at helping them deal with their pain. So I did that for the last 8 years of my sentence. I therapized psychopaths. Hundreds on top of hundreds on top of hundreds. So when I walk out and I see this 15-year-old boy who's depressed because his girlfriend left him or his parents got a divorce or his big brother was getting high, so he got high. I mean, I watched thousands. You want to see people get high, go to jail. 80% of prison is drug users.
Yeah.
There's some kind of drug attachment to 80% of people in prison. So I went to NNA, not because I get high, because I have to speak to people who use drugs. So I understand what these kids are going through. And when I show up, they say, well, you're a Black ex-gang member. How are you going to help my kid? Most other folks watching might be white from wherever.
Scare them straight.
Yeah. So I don't speak. When I show up, they're like, you know my parents? I usually have the hoodie on and the Timbs.
Yeah.
But when I show up, I am so opposite of the culture that they're expecting. So many people ship the kids off to Utah or to Montana to a program, and the kid just needs to be heard.
Right.
So when I show up, I have the ability to listen.
Yeah. And
hear what they're not saying, hear what they're feeling, hear what they're going through, hear what they really want to say.
Yeah.
And I have that conversation with them. Like, wow, you get me. And because I've been locked in basements, left for hours, if not weeks by myself. I've been left for days without being fed. I've been chained to beds thinking and forced medicated, like shot with Thorazine. I'm sitting there like going out of my mind. And to come back from that, then to see a 16-year-old kid who's struggling with something. Yeah. I'm not saying mine's is worse than theirs, but I've been way past that and I can relate. Yeah. And I sit in their space and I listen and I help them process and how to find their way back over. Yeah. They say you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. That's wrong and it's a lie. It's just a step before that, getting them ready to want help. Right. And for all you people who go to treatment centers, wherever they are, my one statement is denied access is not treatment. So you take your kid who has a drinking or drug problem, you ship him off to a program for 90 days. Yeah, about 7 days in, he'll be sober, but he won't be clean. Because the reason he got high never went away. You lock me in a building in the middle of the woods, of course I can't get high. You come see me, oh, your son is not getting no drugs, drug-free, because I'm in the middle of the woods in Utah. Yeah. The instant I get out of here, my pain is still here. Yeah. So we help them discover their pain and we help them resolve their pain. They don't need to run to drugs. Yeah. So taking away what they run to doesn't fix it. Yeah. So we want to help everybody on all sides. For prison reform, we have to get to a place of understanding that the system is broken. Yeah. And we need a collective community. We need the DOCs, we need the HOCs, we need the governors, we need the county commissioners, we need the police, we need the DA, we need the judges, we need the families of the incarcerated, we need the incarcerated, we need the advocates, we need the lawyers. There's a role for everybody. Yeah. Imagine raising your kids without your grandparents, without their grandparents. What would that look like? They'd be missing something. Yeah. There's a thing that one day you're gonna be a grandma. And every grandma will tell you it's the greatest thing in the world. Nobody wants to be a grandmama until they are. Yeah. Because you go, oh, I want to be old. grandparents will tell you there's no better thing.
Yeah.
And the kids who have grandparents, there's no better thing. So growing up without your grandparents is different.
Yeah.
You might have great parents, but grandparents add another layer to who you're going to be.
Mhm.
They treat you like gold
Mhm.
every day, and they drop your butt off.
Yeah.
But those interactions are special,
right.
and they're needed. So we need, in this discussion, everybody.
Yeah, it takes a village.
You need grandparents, you need uncles and aunts. I didn't really have my grandparents, didn't have uncles and aunts, didn't have cousins. The entire family makes a person.
Yeah.
And the legal department, the legal side, the corrections side, the law enforcement side, the family side, the advocates, if we keep fighting, the people keep suffering.
Yeah. So, Andre, so many people talk about prison reform, something needs to be done. And you hear it all the time, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's, the Texas prison is in lockdown, which, you don't do that unless there's
a problem.
Right? So my point is, why hasn't there been a nationwide effort to truly bring all of the resources, take the models that we know work from countries that are doing it right, are teaching inmates a profession, are giving them programs to be fully integrated back into society when they get out of prison? Why haven't we come together? What do you think is missing? Is it public awareness?
It's not public awareness. It's just the people in charge have to determine what we want as an outcome. It's hard to run on tough on crime and then be nice to prisoners.
Right.
So I watched Michael Dukakis, who was our governor of Massachusetts, run for president. And he was winning by a landslide against George Bush. And then at some point, there was a guy who left the prison. He went out and committed rape and a murder. And then the soon-to-be president ran the ad that Dukakis was soft on crime. He gave this guy a program that he ran as governor in the state system, and they just ran this commercial. And he went from here till he lost. And it was one issue. They ran it and they ran it and they ran it and they ran it. His name was Willie Horton. You can look it up on Google. They ran that ad 1,000 times. That he was soft on crime and his family died. It was like that thing. And it was one of the key reasons he went from being whatever amount of points ahead to losing. And being tough on crime was what George Bush said. I'm tough on crime. And I'm not gonna be like that guy. And it helped him win.
Yeah.
So other people got on board. I'm gonna be tough on crime. And for a whole era, being tough on crime got you elected. Who controls our prisons? The governors control the state prisons. The president controls the federal prisons, and the sheriffs have a little bit of autonomy at the local level.
Yeah.
But they're elected too. You have elected officials who run our institutions. So it's a dichotomy of running for office on the stance of tough on crime, then trying to make the people you said you're gonna be tough on better. It's hard. So we need to say, okay, tough on crime, yeah, you're punishing I tell you, it's hard. In prison, you were tough on crime, you were tough on us, it was not easy. But when we come out, we're damaged. We came in damaged, we're going out damaged and broken. And we're gonna commit more crime. So tough on crime has produced 70% plus recidivism. And this is what I say about recidivism. If 600,000 people come home every year and 7% reoffend, that's a lot of new victims.
Yeah.
So if I could sit the grandmother down her grandson's gonna get murdered because the guy you had for the last 10 years got no services because you were tough on crime. And you were. Now, because you were tough on crime, my grandson's gonna get killed. My niece is gonna get raped. My store's gonna get robbed. Because you were tough, you had them for 10 years. Can we be concerned about victims' families? Can we lessen the victim family impact? Because when we're tough on crime, which works, but what does it produce? More victims.
Yeah.
So I want to speak for the grandmothers, for the kids who haven't got murdered, for the girls who haven't got raped, because you're being tough on crime. Instead of this guy learning a trade, getting therapy, getting counseling for 10 years, he's out on the yard fighting for his life. and he's getting trauma, more trauma, more trauma. So he came in with trauma. He's fighting for his life over 10 years. He's coming out with trauma. He came in 18. He got raped for 8 years. What's he going to do when he go home? This man just got raped for 8 years straight. Shawshank Redemption wasn't a joke. That really happens. This guy might get raped for 8 years straight. What is he going to do when he goes home? He's going to victimize somebody else.
Yeah.
Because prison is unsafe at some points, and we produce unsafe people.
So tell me, and that's well taken. I think I understand, at least from my standpoint, is that's fine. You give them the punishment. They go to prison to be punished. But then in prison, you have an opportunity to reform them, to get them ready to go back out into society so that they can be a productive member of society, right? And that is what's not happening. They're getting worse. They're not getting better.
We haven't decided what's punishment.
Yeah.
Is the punishment being away from society for 10 years? Is the punishment being in the worst conditions while you're away for 10 years?
Right.
We have to determine what is punishment.
Yeah.
Is just the act of being away enough?
Yeah.
For some people, I mean, I seen somebody running for governor and they were like, yeah, we're gonna have them busting rocks on the yard. Okay, you can have us bust rocks. So I sit outside all day with a sledgehammer and I bust rocks. That's all I do. For 10 years, I bust rocks. It was a great soundbite. But now I bust rock for 10 years. Now I come home, I still can't read.
Yeah.
I still can't process. I still have triggers. I'm still angry. I still act out. And I'm stronger because I've been busting rocks for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So
do you think one of the other issues, right? Because this is not a one-dimensional problem, is that prisons are a business?
it is a business, but it's not a business. That's not making it go. It's like people figured out that there's money to be made on people in jail. That's a given. There's tons of private and state prisons.
That's what I'm talking about. The private prisons, these private contracts delivering, 1/10 of the service that they should be delivering, and they're profiting, millions, if not billions of dollars. Is that because those services are failing? The food is horrible. There is no care. There is no real rehabilitation or teaching them anything in prison. Like those services that these companies are getting, right? Sometimes in the billions of dollars.
Oh yeah, they make billions of dollars. There's $50 billion a year spent on corrections.
Correct.
Not the courthouse, not the police, just corrections. So in some instances, it's a old worn out jail falling apart. So the private people say, hey, I'll build this prison next door and you can put your people in a better building and you just pay us. So for me, public versus private is not the issue. For me, they're doing a variation of what the public is doing. If the state changes its philosophy, then the private will change its philosophy. It's not who's holding us, it's what are you doing while you're holding us. I don't care who holds me. My question to you is like, well, Dre, private prisons are bad and public prisons are bad. It's all not that you're holding us. We have to determine, is being away the punishment or how you treat us the punishment? Right now, it's both. Mm-hmm. Let's keep them away and treat them bad, but try to slide some programs in because the numbers are getting too big.
Right.
So let's take the fake sliders programs and just say, no, something, being away is the punishment. Your 10 years is the punishment. Your 20 years is the punishment. So let us make you a better person. That's what other countries do. Sweden, Germany, your punishment is the act of being away. So while we have you, and we're spending 3 times more than a college tuition, let's make you better so you don't come back.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But you know what I always ask people? Well, why don't we have programs? They always say, we have programs. Why don't we give them this? It shows a list of programs.
Yeah.
If you went on vacation and you were in the Middle East someplace, and you got kidnapped by a terrorist group, you and your husband got snatched by a terrorist group, and they threw you in a prison. So Al-Qaeda or whatever, a terrorist group holds you hostage and you're in their thing. How long would you have to be there for before you trust them?
Yeah, I get it.
Never.
Never.
You're going to take the food, you're going to take a shower, you're going to go for recreation, you're going to do what they allow you to do, but how long before you trust them?
Yeah.
Because their purpose isn't to hold you, it's to torture you, it's to whatever deprive you. So as Americans, if you're growing up in the area, is when I get arrested, it's Massachusetts versus Henry Norman. United States of America versus Henry Norman. They have all these judges and police and DAs versus Henry Norman. So it's the country against me in my mind, because at every step of the way, police department, DA's office, the judge, the paperwork, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I got paperwork that says Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Henry Norman. United States of America versus Henry Norman. So that's my adversary. And now you're holding me. You say, why can't you trust us?
Yeah.
You can't put United States of America versus Henry Norman on my paperwork. Put me in shackles at gunpoint. Give me 30, 40 years and then say, trust me. So if you don't have a relationship, it makes it really hard. And to their defense, they're not good at developing a relationship with prisoners. So that's where partners come in. DOC, FBOP, HOC, all the juvenile, they might not be the ones that develop the relationship. Maybe you are the dad, you're hard line. You tell your kids to behave themselves like, yeah, mommy, I'm calling your father, whatever. When he walks through the door, they snap into detention. Their relationship is different.
Yeah.
They don't love you less. It's just a different relationship. Let the people that they love, know and trust, come in and help you. I've gone in the South Carolina Department of Corrections. I've gone in the Massachusetts Department of Corrections, Richmond City Jail, Texas Department of Correction. No, I've been to Texas, excuse me. Florida, Michigan, New York, and they let us come in because the inmates have a relationship with us. You can do the count, you can guard the wall, you can do the security checks, but they're not going to trust you in the way they need to make better people. So you have to partner with people like us that they trust. It's a trust thing.
So the prisons basically partner with you to come in and teach inmates personal development.
They have programs.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Most prisons that I've been at, if not all, have programs.
Yeah.
The inmates just don't trust in the system.
Yeah.
So if you're held by a terrorist group in the Middle East, you going to school to learn how to do math? You don't want to do. You're trying to avoid these subconsciously and internally. You don't trust anything they give you.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's good for you. You just don't trust it. I hate to tell you, prisons don't trust gods.
Yeah.
Prisoners don't trust the system. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal. It's not like good. We just don't trust the system.
The system wasn't developed for them. It was developed to punish them.
So what happens is this is the TD Jakes quote. Get somebody I know, trust, and love to tell me that this is okay. Because the lady said, hey, TD Jakes, I got all this stuff. It'd be great for you. How does somebody like me get somebody like you to listen to my stuff? He said, get somebody I know, trust, and love to tell me it's good. So I go to the prison and I tell them the GED class is okay. The culinary class is okay. But Dre, why don't they listen to us? They don't know, trust, and love me. And I've done it and I've been successful at it. So I can come back and say, I've taken a GED class, I've taken a culinary class, I've taken anger management, I've gone to NAA, and this is how it actually works in our life on the outside. It's not abstract, it's not theory, it's real. They know, trust, and love me. So when I come back and say, hey, this is okay. Which not just this is the thing. People go to programs, but they don't put their all into it. They go to therapy, they don't tell the truth. They say what they need to get through the class. So it's not that they're not going. When I first went to therapy in prison, it was an anger management group. The guys told me, in the morning we answer one question, in the afternoon we answer one question. You're program compliant, you get your certificate. I said, that's dumb. I'm gonna sit there for 8 hours and do nothing. He said, you just need your certificate to go home, Greg. You don't need them, you just need your certificate. And to get your certificate, one question in the morning, one question in the afternoon, you're program compliant, you get your certificate, you show to the pro board, you go home. And I said, no, I'm doing this program to not come back. It's not about going home. But that's the mindset, just get out. And they keep getting out with no services, no skills, and they come back. They sat in programs for months and if not years.
Yeah.
Can't articulate one lesson. because they didn't trust the teacher, they didn't trust the process. So they were allowed to come into the room and be superficial when they have wounds deep as the ocean. So I go back and say, hey, give your all. Then I go help the counselors and the therapists. It's one huge thing, if I could say one thing, in prison, there's a large white staff, there's a large Black and brown community inside. And it's not that they're white and we're Black and brown, it's that they speak their language, we speak our language, and it's totally different. So I teach cultural communication to the staff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you to be Black. I don't need you to learn Black history. I don't need you to learn about the Aztec Indians. I just need you to learn how to communicate to me. So you can say what you want, but communicate it to me in a way that I can receive it. We have different cultural backgrounds, and they take examples from their lives and just think we should get it, and we don't. I had a guard one time say, why can't you all strip search together? I'm like, he said, you should do that Pop Warner football. You played baseball, y'all took showers together. What's the big deal? Because he played Pop Warner football and he took showers with the team. I never played sports in my life. My mother couldn't afford the YMCA. My dad wasn't there to take me to nothing. So I couldn't relate. He looked at me and said, you never played football? He was amazed. He said, my father would have loved that. It's just a white God. He said, you never played football? I said, no. I'm like 6'2", 180. I jump out the gym. He said, you never played sports? He said, my father would have loved to have you. Wow. And this is a God who's like the mean tough guy, but his cultural experiences, he played baseball, you play football, you do the sports, and you do stuff as teams. And to see me as athletic as I used to be, it just blew his mind that no coach grabbed me. He said, you could not have lived in my neighborhood and not played every sport because somebody would have grabbed you.
Right.
And he's coming from his experience.
Yeah.
And he's not been taught that just because I'm 6'2", I jump out of the gym, don't think I played AAU or Pop Warner.
Right.
And it's a cultural divide. So cultural communication is a necessity for creating conversations between the people who have to actually live together, staff and us.
Yeah. So do you think, I mean, you were saying that drug addiction and use is very obviously prevalent in prison. It's also the way that they make money and, sort of get their high and also their cash when they need it. Do you think, what could be done to prevent drug use in prisons or dealing in prisons? Or is the system so broken that it can't even?
The system is broken, and part of the brokenness is you need relief. So if I ran from whatever I ran from to drugs, I was at home minding my business and I got stressed out, so I started getting high. So now I'm robbing and stealing because I'm getting high. So I come to jail. And so now I'm in jail. Whatever was bothering me as a kid that made me run out the door the first time, it still bothering me. So I'm looking for the same relief I look for in the street.
Yeah.
So until you relieve my problem, I will always have the craving for drugs.
Right.
So it's not the system that's saying, hey, these guys can't, if I relieve my problem this way, since I was 12 or 13 years old, I'm gonna keep looking. I'm escaping to drugs. I'm not running to them, I'm escaping to them.
Yeah.
I didn't come from them, I'm running to them.
Right.
So until you remove or help me deal with the thing that has me running, I always want to get high.
Yeah.
And you can put me in prison, you can put me on the moon, you can put me in college, you can give me a job on Wall Street. If I haven't dealt with, because they're getting high on Wall Street, they're getting high at the hospitals, they're getting high at the banks, they're getting high at the racetracks, they're getting high in sports. There's no place that's immune, including prisons, from people who are running from something and using drugs and alcohol as a relief.
Right.
So if we want drugs to go down in prison, start doing trauma-informed care. You can put up nets around your prison, you can do more cameras, you can pat down people, you can do all that. But if you don't remove the reason I want to get high, I'm going to get high.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Can you heal somebody in prison?
Definitely. 100%.
Right. They come with, like you said, wounds deep as the ocean. These people have trauma going back to,
Childhood.
Childhood or
3 years old.
Right. And in utero. I mean, we're one of the cases that we're working on is addicted babies, right? So can you rehabilitate? I mean, where is the line between people that truly have, mental issues, healthcare issues, and some people, and I don't know I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Some people say certain people are just born evil, right? And you
I've heard
can't
that.
change that.
Heard that.
So, and then you've got the people that have such horrible, mental health issues. And then you've got the people that are somewhere in between, right? Can you truly rehabilitate somebody that comes from such deep dysfunction or addiction or trauma that, the prison is the last place where they would get?
I'll say one thing. I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
You let me in your house. How do you feel about letting me in your house?
Normal.
I'm one of those people. I was that guy. Domestic violence, drug abuse. We've had people in my family molested. We have people in my family assaulted. We have people in my family run away. We've had all the different isms you can think of and problems you can think of. My dad grew up in Virginia and he was tormented and tortured down in Virginia and ran out of town. My stepdad's a bank robber. I can give you out of school. If you understood somebody's environment that they grew up in, you would understand them. So I came from one of the most dysfunctional, I'm quite sure there's some harder stories, but I came from an extremely dysfunctional scenario.
But how many of you are out there,
Way more.
you think?
How many people? There's a guy named Natan Schaefer. He was a chaplain. He was an Orthodox Jewish rabbi. He was a chaplain at the prison. And he saw me. And we met. He said, Andre, you can come to my class. And I sat with Natan every Wednesday night. I'm not Jewish. He's not Black. He's not cool. I'm saying, super scriptural. But he was a teacher and I was a student. The religion and the faith didn't matter. He saw a student and he taught me accountability, respect, servanthood, discipline, caring, compassion, integrity. And the fact that he wasn't Black, he wasn't from my neighborhood or anything of the sort, didn't matter. He saw a student and he taught me. And I shout out to Natan, he's my biggest hero. Of all the people I met throughout my life, Natan took the time to teach me to be human. Nobody taught me to be human. They taught me to be bang, bang, smash, kill, destroy, and all that type of stuff. Don't cry, run through brick walls, fight to the, all the Natan taught me to be human.
Where's Natan?
Natan is in Israel right now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so again, the average guy here in America, you say average Black guy, when they had the Hamas and Israel fighting, doesn't matter. As soon as I saw that, I don't take sides. I have a lot of Muslim friends in Saudi, shout out to Saudi Arabia, those are my people. But my guy, my mentor is in Israel. So I'm texting him, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I got friends in Saudi Arabia. Oh, y'all okay? You know what I'm saying? So I have a best interest in both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how I stand. And I'm not like, hey, well, I don't like Muslims. No, I got tons of Muslim friends I rock out with all day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My rabbi, who's my dude, you know what I'm saying? Hands down, no blame.
Because underneath it all of the religions, humanity should be the underlying reason to connect. I mean, we're all humans.
I have a priest,
Yeah.
shout out to Father Martin. I got a Baptist minister who's my godfather. Shout out to Tim Allen. You know what I'm saying? I got an imam. You know what I'm saying? I got people I got Sister Ruth and Sister Kathleen, two nuns. People are people.
Yeah.
The faith that you subscribe to doesn't define you as far as what you give. It should give you instructions on how to love people.
Right.
All the people I know from all different faiths have been given instructions to love each other.
Yeah.
And they equally across, I can't say that Tom loves me more than my nun. He loves me more than my pastor. I mean, he's just my first and favorite mentor. He's a first,
Yeah.
but they're all been great to me. So I show up with not just compassion, but people on all sides.
Yeah.
And so can you reform somebody who came born evil or born dysfunctional or born in a horrible situation? I'm sitting in your house. And I'm not the only one. There are thousands more people just like me, white, Black, and Spanish, young, short, old, LGBTQ, Nazis, whatever, they're all. I mean, I'm cool with the Nazis. I'm cool with the Aryans. I'm cool. I want them to be successful. This ain't a black thing. This is a us
Human
thing, human thing.
Yeah.
So when given the opportunity, in the real conversation, people respond. There's a lot of phonies who come up to you. They might pray for you or they might offer you this program. They're phonies. And there's a lot of phony people who go to jail. There's a lot of phony people who don't care. They show up because it's the thing to do. It's the fad. And it's people who are sincere, people who care. And those are the people that we want to highlight. When I was a kid, there was a guy named Mr. Jefferson. He lived 3 houses down. He had a regular job someplace, and we didn't have a gym in our neighborhood. So he went to the school and convinced the school to give him the gym Tuesdays and Thursday night. We had night gym. So we all went to the gym Tuesdays and Thursdays from like 6 to 9. And the little kids would just run around, the big kids would play basketball, the girls would sit in the corner and talk or whatever. And Tuesday and Thursday went to the gym. And then you start out running around, eventually got old enough to play ball, eventually whatever. And Mr. Jefferson opened that gym forever. Never got paid a dime. And he would sit there and supervise the whole thing, never had any fights. When Mr. Jefferson died, there were standing room only, blocks on top of blocks, waiting to see his casket. The YMCA director, the Boys Club director, don't know their names. I'll never forget Mr. Jefferson.
Yeah.
Because he showed up without asking, without any expectation. He just did his part.
Right.
And when he passed, for generations, showed up for that man. Yeah. And we need people like Mr. Jefferson. In our neighborhood, we had a lady called the Candy Lady. Every neighborhood got the Candy Lady. She sells candy off her back porch. She'll sell you lollipops, she'll sell you Snicker bars, the little penny candies. Because we couldn't go to the store because it's too far. So they would open up little candy shops. And sometimes they sell sandwiches. And even have the money, she'd still give you a sandwich. She'd still give you a piece of candy because she got to know you. When you got good grades, you run the Candy Lady, look at my grades. And she gives you some candy. She's doing it because she loves us. Mr. Jefferson did it because he loved us. Those are the people we got to find. I don't need another executive director who's been trained at whatever school on all these principles and fact finding and fundraising. I want the Candy Lady. Yeah. I want Mr. Jefferson. I want him to be in charge of our community engagement. Stop all these multi-billion-dollar companies giving money to agencies that have no connection on the ground. Mr. Jefferson never had his house broken into. Nobody ever disrespected his wife. His kids were like royalty in the neighborhood. And listen to this day. Yeah.
Oh. Well, you are Mr. Jefferson. You really are. You're such a good man and you do such good work and you exude that. It's so obvious. People have listened to you, they gravitate to you because you speak the truth.
And
from the heart.
Even though I didn't listen early, I heard him.
Yeah.
And he set me up for Miss Oliver.
Yeah.
Who set me up for Natan. Right. Who set me up for the next thing.
Yeah.
We can come back. We have value. We've done wrong. We need to pay out what we owe. We need to do our time. It's not like let everybody out of jail, but we add value.
Yeah.
And there are thousands of people who will say, my family's intact because of Andre. And it's not because of Andre, it's because of Mr. Henderson, who's the CEO, the Tom, who's a chaplain, and a bunch of other people who contributed to me getting to this point. If you want to fix prisons, you need the help of prisoners.
Yeah.
If the prisoners don't buy into the fix, we can't fix prisons.
Yeah.
We're trying to fix prisons without including the prisoners.
Right.
We're just going to tell them what's great for them. You should do this because it's great for you. You ever get your kids to try these vegetables?
Yeah.
How's that go?
It doesn't go. Doesn't go at all.
Then I go for it.
Yeah.
So if the kids decide they like broccoli, then cool. But if they don't, it's not gonna happen.
But Andre, this is so obvious, right? It's like the most obvious thing, and I don't know, maybe in this moment to me, is that all we need is to figure out a caring way to care about the people who have been mistreated, traumatized, that in a way to protect and defend themselves, victimized other people, to me, they're nothing but traumatized people.
Right.
And so if caring is what would fix the problem, I mean, if we could just boil it down to one word, care or love or wanting to help, whatever, then why are we so distracted by the noise?
We're distracted by the noise because if I'm at the table and we're talking about prison reform, we're talking about helping prisoners, you're not going to get distracted because I'm not going to let you get distracted. Well, if you're getting distracted, that means there's nobody at the table who's suffering from that thing.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to helping, you can table it, you can kick it to the next meeting, you can kick it to the next meeting. Only you can do that if it's not your kid in need of service.
Mm-hmm.
If it's your child in need of service, when are you going to the hospital?
No.
Well, let's next week. Let's talk about it next week.
Yeah.
But if it was your kid in need of service, when are we going?
Mm-hmm.
But since it's not your kid, it's not your nephew, and it's not your cousin, we can have all these meetings and have all these meetings and have all these meetings. But if somebody's in the room that's truly advocating from us, there's one of us, they're not gonna let you kick them. You say, well, let's table this for next week. I'm like, why? There's people struggling right now. There's people suffering right now. There's people going to be creating new victims right now. Let's fix this now. Well, we can fix it next week. Let's have another meeting in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's put it on next month's agenda. Because it's not your people in need of services. And you don't believe your people are going to become the victims of these people that you refuse to help.
Yeah.
And again, for all you advocates, and I want to make it better, if I could bring the grandmother in and sit her right in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, you had how many meetings? And you did what exactly? And the service never reached the man who killed my grandson. Well, we were trying, and it's not pressing.
Yeah.
For me, it's pressing. When people call me out to speak, I'm like, we got to go do some community engagement. I'm going to St. Louis next week. We're doing a day and a half of community engagement. I'm here in Orlando. We did a day in community engagement. When I go speak, we go do, the people need to come see. Because if you've never seen it, it's all theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's theory.
Yeah.
When you come see it, then you have a better understanding. And if you want to fix the rapist, murderer, gang member, I think you need to talk to a rapist, murderer, and gang member. Because they can tell you what drove them off the cliff. Stop with the Freud books, stop with the theory. I don't care what PhD you got in psychology, go talk to the person. And he or she can tell you the mindset behind. That's why I'm good at working with gang members, because I used to be a gang leaders. I used to be gang leaders. I know how they're thinking.
Yeah.
And there's no book written that'll tell you the mindset of a gang. Prison gang. It's not in the book.
So we've gone completely off script, by the way,
There's a
because
script?
there was a script, but I had questions and I didn't.
You didn't know you was bringing $100 in here.
But here is what's great. You've sort of covered everything that I was going to ask anyway, so it's all good. Do you have a message, a specific message for the lawyers listening to this? Because obviously, like we talked about, there might be a new sort of approach to prison reform that if the right people are behind the effort, then potentially we can make some change. What is your message to the attorneys that have the ability to file injunctions and certify a class and file an MDL? Like, what's the message to that community?
They need to call you. They need to call you, and I can get a group of my guys and girls who've been through this in real time from a different wide variety, white, black, Spanish, killers, drug dealers, everything, and have a conversation. Because what happens is, if you don't talk to us, you can have the greatest of intentions, the biggest of hearts, and the right reason that you're going to build a machine for the problem that's not.
Yeah.
You're going to build this massive machine for the problem that doesn't matter. And you're going to solve that one thing. But it's not the thing that's going to matter to me. Mm-hmm. It's not the thing that's going to make me go to a program or change my life. I'm not doubting, can this team of lawyers build a massive machine to change something in the system? I'm just wondering how they plan on changing things that matters to me if they've never talked to me.
Yeah.
So please call my sister, sit with her, and say, how do we build a machine that's going to make the right change? Because I've seen tons of machines built. Everybody's building a machine to fix the problem that's not. What is the real thing that I'm missing? Not the thing you think I need. This is what they say. Well, if I was him, I would want a college degree. So let's go build a college program. If I was him, I would want drug counseling. Let's go build a drug counseling program. If I was him, I would want job training. Let's go build a job training program.
Right.
Know what I needed? I sat with a therapist and she found out something. She said, Andre, you're a quitter. Your father walked out when you was in the first grade. You internalized that quitting was okay. You've been quitting at everything for the rest of your life. And we sat in a room and she showed me how he walked. It took us a couple weeks to get there. How he walked out. I said quitting is cool. And she showed me band, track and field, leadership, rock, everything all the way to from that day to the day I sat there, I quit on. She said, you're a quitter. And she helped me understand that I was a quitter. And it hit me hard because I'm like this go hard type of dude. Then we started working on solutions for me being a quitter. Then once I got the mindset of what my issue was and how to fix it, then we built a machine to go forward.
Yeah.
But if you'd have built me a machine, well, you'd have met Andre. He's intelligent, he's articulate, he's smart, he's a leader. Let's give him a leadership program. I'd have quit at some point. Andre is cool, he's this, let's build this for him. I'd have quit at some point. The lady sat down and found out what my issue was. Then we built a machine for that. And the machine we built for Andre Norman, once we discovered his issue, took me from a 105-year sentence, gang leader, to Harvard, MIT, the UN in 25 countries. That's what building the right machine will do.
Yeah.
We keep not building great machines, building the wrong great machine.
Yeah.
Let's build the right great machine. Talk to the people, find out what matters to us. Because we didn't grow up in your house and it's not as simple as give me a new bike every year. Find out what matters to me. You can't stop feeling bad that my father wasn't there. Stop feeling bad I grew up in a war-torn neighborhood. Stop feeling bad. I don't need you to feel bad for me. I need you to hear me and give me a pathway.
Right.
And it's not necessarily out of the hood. I still go back to the hood every day. I go back to prison every day. So I don't need you to rescue me. Just teach me how to survive. People are trying to rescue people.
And dream.
You gotta have a dream. So I wake up every morning and I say, who can I help today? That's it. And that's my goal, to go out and help people. And I help them be the best versions of them. Not the best versions of what I want to create in them. People try to create me into stuff. They try to give me a pastor's collar. They try to give me this. Stop trying to make me into what you want me to be. And just let me be me.
Do you still work on yourself?
Oh, definitely. Every day.
How? Like, what's your routine? Like, what do you...
My routine is I'm in a ton of masterminds. And I'm in a legal mastermind where I met you. I'm in an advertising mastermind. I'm in a marketing mastermind. I'm in a health mastermind. I'm in all these different masterminds. I go in and around these super people who are like the best in their space. We had 5,000 great lawyers in Atlanta last year. They were there, and I'm just there, and I was there for the whole time. And I'm watching and I'm listening. And I just left the conference, and I'm watching and I'm listening. I learned, because I couldn't read for a long time. So I learned by watching. So I just need to be in the space, and I can see it, then I can do it. You don't give me the instructions. Don't give me the instructions, because I can't read. I can now, but I function from non-reading. So I learned, my first learning skill set was watching and listening and mimicking. So I put me in a room, and I've been in so many different rooms. So I go and I sit and I listen. And I learn the new ways, whether it's breathing techniques, it's meditation, you know what I'm saying, if it's philosophy, if it's running, if it's jogging. I've tried every kind of medical. I mean, I got rich white friends. I do rich white people medicine. That's what it's called. I'm out in Scottsdale, right? getting blood transfusions. I'm saying like they clean your blood.
No, I
that's
know.
crazy.
I've heard
They
of
pour
that.
the blood out, they clean it, they oxygenate it, they put it
Put it
back
back.
in.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, shout out to Dr. Cherie. I love you. You know what I'm saying? The Ong Institute. Listen, I did that thing. She had me bouncing out the chair. My vision got better, everything.
Wow.
Cherie killing it in Scottsdale. I'm saying the Ong Institute. And it's like all these, I just go to these different spaces. And I'm not doing plant-based medicine, I'm not doing ayahuasca. I draw the line. I don't like drugs.
Yeah.
MDE and plant-based, go for it.
Yeah.
The lady was talking about some ketamine the other day, go for it.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
But there's some lines I draw. But just being around people who are the best of what they do and just hang out. And just learn. So I learn every day. And they just convinced me. They be like, Dre, you have to do something. I've 24 years. I refuse to do coaching. Like this coaching mastermind groups, I refuse to do seminars. They beat me now. So I agreed to do a seminar. I'm doing my first seminar ever in December.
Congrats. So this is your own seminar.
Me teaching for 4 days.
Wow.
I've gone into prisons and taught for weeks and hours. I go get on stage for 90 minutes. I do a workshop for 2-3 hours. I've never just sat and taught my strategies on overcoming trauma, overcoming imposter syndrome, overcoming how to read people. People know how to read people, how to read situations. So if you're a negotiator or you're just trying to date somebody, how do you read somebody? How do you know their intentions? In prison, it's called get it right or die. So I had to read you in 0.2 seconds or end up in a really bad situation. So I'm great at reading people. I'm great at negotiating. I'm great at communications. I just have to negotiate between the whites, the blacks, Hispanics, the gods. And so I'm teaching negotiations. I'm teaching all the stuff that I learned. Yeah. What took me from the basement of a prison and a crying little kid in the neighborhood to working at the White House in the UN. 4 days. So it's going to be trauma. It's going to be fun. It's going to be business. It's going to be everything.
Who's your audience? Mixed.
If you just listen, if you just want to get your life together, if you're like, you know, you got greatness. This is the thing. If you know you got greatness in you, come on out. That's it. I sat in the prison cell and said, man, I'm way better than this. Yeah. If I can go from prison to Harvard, what's your starting point? And imagine your ending point. Right. So I was like, nah, don't let me beat you in this race. So I'm going to show people how to actually become the best version of themselves so they can show up. I love that. Well, we're going to have to get info on the seminar so we can link it to the podcast so people can look it up and register if they want to go. I think that would be amazing. In fact, you and I should talk about doing something similar because I think everybody can benefit from just listening to how to work with themselves on themselves. I've been doing personal development for over 10 years and I've tried, a lot of different things. And that is from reading the self-help books to meditation, breathing work, all of that stuff. And it's like picking different things from different people and making it your own, making it your routine so that you can wake up in the morning and truly show up, be present for whatever it is that who you talk to and what you're working on can feel your presence. So I think that's important across the board. I don't care who you are. Doctors, lawyers, ex-cons, you're saying taking correctional officers, police. I'm not doing background checks. We don't do background checks. You don't need to check the box. But I would say, but for all your lawyers and all your professionals, as much as you want to come reform our prisons and help us get out of jail, let us help you get out of jail, because some of you are in prison. You're in prison of addiction. You're in prison of overworking yourself. You're in prison of coffee and sugar. You're in prison of porn. You're in prison of bad relationships, everything. Yeah. Let us come help you break out too. We need some professionalism reform. You know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to save us. Listen, I can see past the bullshit. Right? I can see past the bullshit. So you show up and your whole heart broke, your whole life's out of tilt, but you trying to save me. I'm like, bro, you might need some help. So fair exchange is not robbery. That's what we say in prison. That is awesome. Wow. So we want to help them break out of their prisons too. I mean, this could be a two-way street, and what great way to heal one another in the process. I mean, Andre, it's been such an honor. Thank you so much for being here in person, for me to actually do this with you and really feel how
powerful your mission is, and really your purpose is. It's a pleasure, it's an honor, and I look forward to working with you in the future to change lives, because that is what I think matters most. So whether it's the education system or the prison reform, or just simply going
Professional for me.
professional reform.
Don't leave your people out.
I'm not.
Stop acting like, yeah, I got issues. I got food by the nice cup.
No.
The Porsche didn't fool me, man. The Porsche ain't fooled me. The red bottom shoes ain't fooled me.
Yeah.
That ain't nothing.
100%. You're so right. Across the board.
But last story. I was working at a place, and a guy, I'm doing all these interventions. The guy said, "Can you help my friend? His son is on drugs."
Yeah.
I'm in Arizona. I called a father. He's in California. I said, "Hey, my name is Andre. I can fly to California. Come help you find your son and get him into treatment." He was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, Johnny gave me a number." He said, "But you wanted to say you're Black and you're a gang member and you've never been in my neighborhood. You don't understand this life." And that's what he was saying without saying it, because being politically correct. And I was like, "Dude, I'm gonna come out there and I'm gonna help your kid and I'm gonna give him treatment. This is what I do." He said, "But you've never been in this town, and it's like an affluent town." He had all the roadblocks. She said, "Well, can we do it next week?" Because he wanted to do a background check and he wanted to get references and he wanted to processes and what it's going to cost. So I didn't give him a price. I didn't tell him I needed a first class ticket, room at the Hilton. I needed this type of rental car. I need to have lunch here, dinner here. And I just said, "I'm going to come help your kid." And he was stuck on Black, gang leader, prison time, East Coast, all the stuff. And he said, "Can we do it next week? Next week." And finally, I said, "Dude, I'm in Arizona. I'm an hour away. I live in Atlanta. I'm gonna be 4 hours away. This is so much easier. I can come tomorrow." He was like, "Next week." So finally, I agreed. I said, "Okay, I'll do it next week." I'm like, I gotta fly all the way back to Atlanta, then fly back out of it, but I'm gonna do it for this kid. Even though I don't know the father or the kid. I got to call on Monday, the kid OD. Next week might not come. I might not look like the ideal help. Don't judge the help. Pretend like you're going to an emergency room. You don't care what color the doctor is. You just care that there's a doctor there.
Yeah.
So I always say to people, don't judge the help. Just accept the help. I mean, it's an honor for me to help people. I'm saying, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'll never look like the help.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna look and sound like Andre, but I want to help you. She wants to help. Don't judge the help. Just accept the help. If you need it, then accept it. And if you don't, just let it ride. I had a father tell me one time at an event, it was a father-son thing, and at the cocktail hour, he was like, he found out I was a speaker. He was mad. He was talking trash. "Why is this gang member coming in here?" It was a Catholic program. They had all these high-end Catholic speakers come before me. And he was out at the happy hour bashing. Then after I spoke, he called me inside. He said, "I want to apologize." He said, "We've had all these great, storied people come speak to us every year till my son's been to school. But when you came, you talked to the boys first. When my son walked out of the session you had, he said, 'Dad, I'm sorry. I'm going to be better. I didn't get it.'" He said, "Whatever you said to him created a moment with my son that I'd never had." And I was at the happy hour bashing because you weren't these other people.
The qualified.
You weren't the people I looked up to.
Yeah.
You were somebody I looked down to. And you were the guy that got food in my kid.
Yeah.
I took pictures with them, but I'm going home with my son. And we're in a better space because of you. He says, "I'm man enough to apologize for talking about you at happy hour, because I was your biggest detractor. And now I'm your biggest fan."
Wow.
So just give me a chance.
Yeah. Well, this podcast, I don't know if you know, it's called The Heart of Law.
The heart of law.
So this is the heart of law right here.
This is the law. I'll be the heart. These people we call teach about heart to heart. We don't get some, can't get some. I was to say we get some guns to go around and save people, right? I used to watch Heart to Heart when I was a kid. Old people. I'm old. I'm 56, but I still get it in.
No, I mean truly, the heart and the consciousness of humanity, it stands right here, speaking the truth. No sugarcoating or talking about what sort of degrees and fancy drugs or treatments to access to figure out who you are. I think it's just some honest truth, sitting with people that could break through the obstacles I think anybody can benefit from. So whether it's personal life, professional life, whether it's Andre or someone else, I think if you need help, seek the help, accept the help, and do become the best version of yourself. Otherwise, it would be a tragedy if you don't. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Stay tuned for upcoming episodes available on popular platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.